things are the way that they are. Now, of course, he's got some of the same opinions as most Americans about the Epstein thing. And a lot of times, because he don't like that situation. He don't like them folks. He don't like them doing the things they do. So, of course, when he is saying that, people treat him like he's crazy. And they won't hear anything else he's got to say. But, of course, he also, when you sit down and you talk to him, he knows the dynamics. He knows the dynamics of all this other stuff. Now, since he understands the dynamics and he has first-hand experience...
Drink at McDonald's.
Thank you. All right, apparently I'm going to McDonald's. Thank you. So, one of the things, though, is that he's absolutely right about the Epstein thing, in my personal opinion. And according to the opinions of, what was it, 60% of Americans when they took that poll, 60% of Americans thought that Epstein was killed to protect, well, a bunch of pedophiles in our government. A lot of people do think that, and I do address that, and I do get treated like I'm crazy, and you know what?
I'll put this one in for you. Mr. Trump and his fucking, what's that group of crazies that is talking about the pedophiles eating everybody? That was Trump and his plan putting it out there so it sounds crazy. Conspiracy theories about the pedophiles so no one pays attention to the Epstein Island, because the Epstein Island was real, but what the fucking QAnon Trump crazies are talking about are lizard people and eating children and raping children.
And then we get stuck like we're crazy because we're listening. We've got a bunch of crazies talking about it's the Illuminati and it's alien brainwaves and it's the CIA and some secret drone project where they're bombarding us with this, that, and the other. And the reality is it's just simple motivation. It's pedophiles touch kids because they're fucking perverts. They don't want people to know that they touch kids.
But yeah, when I bring up the Epstein Island in a regular conversation with regular people, they go, "Oh, you're QAnon." No, I'm not a crazy ass conspiracy theorist. The Epstein Island was real. Look it up.
Yeah, exactly. The thing is, we're not, like me, for example, I'm not saying, oh, these people are eating people. They're eating these children and they're using them for satanic rituals. I mean, we've heard those rumors about people who play D&D since as long as people have been playing Dungeons and Dragons.
The Epstein pedophile island was real, and Trump's little cronies are trying to make conspiracy theories so no one fucking looks up the fact that our fucking rich and powerful rape children while destroying our country.
And that's one of the things about the news, is the news verified the existence of that pedophile island.
Yeah.
They even were able to verify, like, what was it, like 30 transport manifests on the airplane, so they knew who was on the airplane.
They even came out and...
The news told us that.
The news, one of the ladies on the news on CNN came out and said, I could have had this Epstein story years ago, but they put a squash on it because they were protecting me.
Yep, that was the ones in Florida. Yep.
Yeah, so I mean... But it's just like Kennedy. They killed Epstein, they killed Kennedy, and our country went downhill when they killed Kennedy because these are the same people in charge. The same people that did the Tuskegee experiments on black people, shooting them up with fucking goddamn syphilis to see what would happen to them, are the same people trying to get us to shoot vaccines in them.
And that's all stuff that is also verified. I mean, this is historically verified. Yeah.
I don't know how any black person in this country would get a vaccine after the Tuskegee experiments. Most people don't know about it, but they shoved fucking goddamn syphilis into people and killed them. Our government did that.
They had that on Black History Month during February. That was actually in one of these things about how black people were experimented with. They also covered the Rosewood experiments
and the bombing of the Black Wall Street. Yeah.
Yep, and then they also covered what was that situation in Arlington, Texas, where they had 84 black folks that were buried in a mass grave, and we've got all of this verified. You know, they're speaking out a little bit, but those stories don't get very much coverage.
No.
Kind of like all of the government schools that were run that all those Native American kids were killed at. I mean, they're not all Catholic schools, they're not all Lutheran schools, they're not all Baptist schools, but they're all religious schools. They're state-run religious schools.
The Trail of Tears out of the history books too.
Yo,
I think they managed to actually do that.
When I was going to school in the 1980s, they still taught about the Trail of Tears. But I was also told that people in the 1970s weren't taught about it, that it wasn't in the history books in the 70s.
I mean, the realization is, though, like, everybody was killing everybody for land at that time. Indians were killing other Indians at that time for land. It was really pretty much a shitty fucking goddamn world we lived in. You know, as we moved up and we got more, our country
But
is the way
the dynamics of it, the dynamics of the whole conspiracy theory, how like when you're gang stalked,
Yeah.
when you're gang stalked, that just means that, you know, you might have pissed somebody off who works at Walmart. They got some friends that they went to school with. They're friends at Walmart. They got the same auto club after work, and they all fucking hang out and talk shit together.
Yeah.
Well,
They brought
you
up a
piss one
homeless
of them
man
off.
and let's go, yeah.
Right, and bum bashing, nobody's gonna care if they beat the shit out of you.
They have, I've been dogs, but they haven't tried.
But
They've
then
sent
when you
people
say
my
that
way.
you were gang stalked by these people, that everywhere you go to fly your sign, they come by and spit on you or throw beer bottles at you, and you can't report it. And then the cops come by and they're wanting to charge you because there's a busted beer bottle next to you. You're littering and, you know, public whatever. And thank goodness they don't have that here anymore. But, you know, gang stalking doesn't mean that those people are shooting CIA brainwaves into your fucking head.
No, it just means a bunch of locals got together and want to get drunk and go out and fucking beat up a bum or fucking have a good reason to harass somebody. They
Right?
get
And
their
false
anger out
accusations. False accusations give them the motive and the intent. And then, of course, the alcohol just fuels their stupidity.
The first year
Nebraskans
I
don't
was
even
here-
say, hold my beer. They want to take it out and throw it at you.
The first year I was here, they harassed me with the cops everywhere I sat down. And then I find out they're letting a child molester drive around their town with an infant child while they're harassing poor people. Like, hey, I don't care that you harass me, but you might want to get fucking...
And the sheer number that they send to harass homeless people or to steal their shit. When they took that Winnebago up there, I shit you not, 7 cops and at least 3 state workers.
Yeah.
And then there's also the lady for the Center for Living. Do they do anything for anyone? Everybody I've talked to can't stand the Center for Living. Are you any different?
I don't know. I don't deal with any of their shit because I was told if I go to their warming shelter, they'll take my dogs off me, all this other bullshit. So I wasn't sure. Now there are some people with dogs that go up to that place, but I still ain't gonna fuck around. I got treated like shit when I was first here. I mean, I have good people help me out with cash to eat and shit here, but as
Like that lady who gave me the goodie bag to deliver you as hobo mail.
yeah,
You're welcome for spending your money. I did too. But like that whole situation, obviously it's easy for the cops to say, oh, well, he's crazy. He's just streaming about chimos because he's on fucking drugs. He's just streaming about chimos because he's schizophrenic. Or they'll say mentally ill real loosely.
Yeah.
Mentally ill is supposed to insinuate that you're either schizophrenic or worse.
But as they jump out of their car to bully fucking poor people, their cops aren't mentally ill at all. Get the fuck out of here.
Right?
Cops get away with murdering children on their fucking street in this country. They're not mentally ill. Get the fuck out of here. I'm a lot less
Right?
mentally ill than the fucking people that fucking rape children and murder children that are in charge of this country.
Gay man. Gay men, brother. See, preach it.
I might be poor, but I ain't mentally ill. I'm just in a bad position. I ain't fucking children, murdering children. I ain't out there fucking harassing poor people for being alive because I'm a cop in this country and the rich want to fucking harass poor people in this country.
And that's really how it is.
That's fucking mentally ill.
That's right. Looking the other way while this happens to other human beings. How close are you people to becoming homeless? How many paychecks are you away from becoming homeless? How many of you would be homeless already if it weren't for your parents' help? Or if it weren't for the fact that you got credit cards that are maxed the fuck out? Well, that would be most of you. You are so close to becoming one of us. Homelessness increased by 60% last year. In 1 year, it increased 60%.
Here's one. For those of you that aren't homeless, do you know that they will lock up an outlet in a minute for a poor person using it? Send a fucking 5 cops to tell a poor man he can't charge his phone on that outlet, but they can't do the same for your schools to protect your children.
And see, they did the same thing in Boulder, Colorado. They wanted to tell only the homeless people they couldn't use the public outlets. 6 years later, after a lot of money and a lot of literal slave labor, because, well, they charge you community service for using that outlet. Come to find out 6 years later, it was never against the law to begin with, like we said. That was Boulder, Colorado, but it's obviously, that brings up a story I've brought up in the past many times, and you guys, if you want to look on my Facebook, you can see I have spoken about that on many occasions, and many other people in Boulder have. And obviously, it's not just Boulder.
No, it's the entire country.
They deprive you of the outlets.
100 fucking outlets locked up in this country because I used the poor and the homeless. 100 outlets. So they
Now,
can't...
have you ever held a job and paid taxes?
Yeah. I've worked many times. I've held jobs for over years. You know what I mean? It's just.
Well, why don't you hold on a second? I want the argument everybody has against a homeless person. When a homeless person needs help and they're not able to do things for themselves, a lot of people go, "Oh, well, you're fucking lazy. You just need to get a job." Why don't you just go get a job, sir?
Why don't they just stop their rich from raping children and their politicians from fucking little kids on an island and their priests from doing it and their cops murdering people and their cops abusing people? Because it's not that fucking
And why is that the perfect answer right there? Because they're changing the subject, changing the topic, and trying to make it about you. What you need to do is give them equality, and that is exactly what this man has provided. Thank you very much, sir.
I mean, if you can't stop child molesters from raping your children in your church and your politics and your cops from murdering them, why should I have to go get a job? If you can't do what's right, why should I do what you think is right?
Why should I pay you money to rape my kids? Why should I pay you money to rape my friends' kids? Why should I pay you money to take my friends' dogs and put them down because the owner happens to be homeless?
It's a lot harder to get a job in this country than it is to stop your fucking criminal fucking politicians from fucking your country up and raping your children. It's a lot harder to get a job in this country than it is to get rid of your corrupt police union and make sure that your cops get mental evaluations every fucking month and drug tests every month. It's a lot harder to get a job than it is to do all that, but you ignorant motherfuckers don't want to do that and stand up and fucking make our country right. So why should I get a job when it's 10 times harder to get a job than it is to make this country run right?
And that's legit how it is. Just so you know, the very first day that I met this man, he spoke to me about when he had a job. He was trying to get up and out. That's what he was trying to do. He was working. And then he was harassed by a child molester.
A Mexican child molester that was sent in by the Hood River Police in Oregon at my job at the Sinclair gas station. The man's name that rapes children in this town and gets away with it is Raul Bustos. He's a Mexican immigrant who gets away with molesting children in Hood River because he snitches on the meth dealers and the meth addicts in this town.
And how long does it take for him to let them meth addicts right back out?
Oh, they get right out. It's not against the law anymore. It's only a misdemeanor, so it's a fine, and they do it to get money. That's it.
And we got another man riding by, and he's agreeing too.
So
I mean, it's not like everyone's not aware of this stuff. The problem is the man sitting next to me. Do what?
yeah,
You're right. They can't control it. It's too much. It's nationwide. This meth is killing people nationwide. And they're letting them go because they simply don't have enough places to put them. But they got places to put you.
Yeah.
You're homeless. Absolutely. All right. Well,
I don't even care what people do. I mean, the only thing I have a problem with is, I'll say it 100 times, fucking rich people fucking children and getting away with it while they lock us up for bullshit.
Yup. Stop touching kids. For me, it's not just rich people.
I got beat up and maced in California for smoking a cigarette on a public sidewalk, yet you're going to let rich people fuck children and walk away when they get fucking
Now, my
caught?
question is, they're doing that with poor people that are molesting children, too. I mean, you got to hear about it in California. They had to let like 60,000 sexual offenders go in like a 6-month period.
Damn, I didn't hear about that shit.
Yep. Skid Row is all sorts of fucking out it. They're all sorts of pissed. They dropped a whole bunch of child molesters off. And it's It's
Well,
phenomenal that the whole town now that they dropped them off in. They're dropping them off right in the town and saying, go wherever the fuck you
It's
want.
a hate crime to even fucking beat up a child molester or kill them like they should be done. It's a hate crime now. We're supposed to hate those motherfuckers. I'm sorry. I get a hate crime against gay people because nobody should be telling someone who they can and can't sleep with when they're adults. But
Right? It's not okay to be gay, but it's okay to be a child molester.
well,
This
no, they
is
have
fucked.
they have hate crimes now for so if you beat up a gay person and you're against people being gay, they can give you a hate crime for it.
Well,
you
yes,
know, but
because it is
I
a
don't
hate
think
crime,
child
but at the same
molesters
time,
should get that same
yeah,
protection. That's just
I
my
don't
personal-
either. I don't think they should either. Now, Robert Franklin Warnick, that's the issue. When I went to turn him in for threatening to kill me and assaulting me more than once, like, nobody cared that he was charged with sexual assault against a child. According to Nebraska law, that's a child.
Yeah.
If you're 12, you're a preteen, which means a child is younger than 12.
But if you're Kyle Rittenhouse, one of their little wannabe cops in the future and shit, they'll shake your hand for killing a child molester. They'll post it everywhere that he killed a former child molester to get people on his side more. But if we say something about it, we're just crazy fucking
Well, see,
homeless
a lot of that stuff too, like when they have that stuff on the news and they pop that stuff through our news feed on Facebook, it's difficult to sort through what's bullshit and what ain't. And there's so many people that you see the fact checker that sends a thing up saying that the fact was checked and it's wrong, and then you look up what they're claiming is wrong. You're like, no, that was
yeah.
definitely something that was not only reported by CNN, but that man was convicted for it. So where did your fact checker go wrong?
Yeah. Well, what they do now is they fact check it to the point where they can find just one sentence that has a word wrong in it or something, and then
Like
they
the
can say
police
the whole
do.
thing, and then they can make it seem like the whole thing's wrong.
Like
You know
the
what I
police
mean?
do, or in the courts when
Yeah.
you say something that's not illegal and not a threat, but they'll reword it and change the sentence structure, and all of a sudden now you've committed a crime, but the one who actually said those words was the judge or the fucking person who's your predator.
Yeah.
And you can't take them to court, especially if they work for the system. And then you're told to go to them, and you go through the loop. You're supposed to call this place and that place and that place. How many times do you call those places before you give up?
Yeah, you're pretty much done. It's like when I go for food stamps and I go into the office and I give them all the paperwork they asked for, and then a week later I don't get my food stamps. I go in and ask what happened. They said they lost your paperwork and that it's your
Right.
fault and your job to do it, even though you brought your paperwork to their office, left it there, but because they lost it, it's your fault, and you have to starve for another week or two.
Yep. Or when you're trying to get your disability and all that, and you have to go to an appointment. Let's say you got an appointment on November 2nd, and the piece of paper they send to you, on the inside it says you've got an appointment for November 2nd, but it's postmarked on the outside of the envelope that they didn't even send it until November 16th. So how the fuck are you supposed to go to that meeting? Then you're denied and even though your envelope is postmarked and shows that they didn't even send it out until after your appointment was already over. Has that ever happened to you?
No, actually, I've gotten all my appointment shit, but they kept turning me down to make sure that I couldn't get it. So, and I mean, I fought for a year to get my Social Security, and they turned me down. I had a lawyer, I had everything you're supposed to have. I did everything they asked. I didn't work for a year to make sure that I was eligible to get it, and I stayed broke. I fucking went without eating to make sure I could get my Social Security, and the government still fucked me over. So,
Well, I got a question for you because I do want to go get a drink, and I don't want to like show your face and make you all.
I hear you.
But is it right if I show your dogs?
Yeah.
All right. Will you introduce them?
This is Nika. She's been with me for 12 years. They're 13 years old. She's a red-nosed Rhodesian Ridgeback mix. She's a good girl. And the next one is Domino's. Domino is a bull mastiff boxer mix. She's also 13 years old and been with me 12 years. And at least 10 of that years was off and on the streets. Was on the streets. So
Now, what does it mean when they're barking at people usually?
that they want to be pet.
Exactly. All right.
Pet them. They want attention. That's all.
Anyway, there's a lot of people out here that are going through a lot of the same stuff. Now, when you piss off the police, they have the ability to do whatever they want, especially if you're homeless, especially if they can pretend like you're crazy. So it's important for people to work together and have safety in numbers. However, there's also the fact that, honestly, because he doesn't hardly know me, I am another homeless person, I could be a junkie, and he will have to be afraid, even if I seem like the most normal person in the world, he will have to be afraid to leave his dogs or his backpack with me, even if he trusts me completely. Even if he doesn't think I'm a crackhead, which he doesn't, but if I am, he still has to be wary. There's also the fact they're not my dogs, it's not my stuff. Me as a homeless person, I don't know if he has that stuff either in his bag, and chances are probably not, but it could. So if he asks me to watch his dogs, he knows that if I get busted with his dogs, even if he's got nothing in his backpack, I might say, even if I tell him, yeah, I'll watch your backpack, if the cops come harass me, I might say, well, it's not my backpack. I don't take responsibility for it, because they'll say, well, if there's any drugs or anything in it, then you're going to get the ticket. Like, you don't have the legal right to search it. Well, it's not yours. Of course, they get to play technicalities. But in that situation, he could lose his dogs and have his dogs put down. They would kill his companions. And I don't know how much you guys know about people on the streets with dogs, but those of you in houses are never going to have a bond like that with your animals. You're just not. I know a few homeless people who have killed themselves after having their dogs put down. And I don't know if you know any, but most homeless people I know do.
I actually know. The only homeless people that I know of that have died from anything are alcoholics that woke up without their beer and went into seizures because they needed alcohol in their system.
They needed to get well.
Yeah, they needed to get well and they couldn't get it. So,
Yup. Rihanna went that way.
I do know homeless people that have had their dogs shot by cops for just being poor.
Me too.
So,
Yup. But they didn't kill themselves, which is good.
They
In
went
Boulder,
out,
Colorado,
they got more dogs. That's just what they do.
in Boulder, Colorado, it's a much bigger congregation of homeless people. It's a lot like, well, you can consider it a half Portland, I guess.
Okay.
So when you meet homeless people, you get to meet a lot of them, and you get to meet a lot of people with dogs. I've met 3 homeless people here with dogs. They've all been either pleasant, reasonably pleasant, or that racist old asshole. I don't know if he was really in the military. I really don't.
I don't either. He says he was. He keeps it up. So, he has no reason to lie to us other poor people. So, like, maybe he is. There are a lot of ex-military, but there aren't a lot of ex-military that are racist because they had a Mexican or a black person watching their back and saving their life over in the fucking shit. So, when you find an ex-military that's racist as hell, you're kind of question if he's actually military, because they got over that racism real quick when that person that's black or whatever had to take a bullet for them.
It's a lot different story when you live with him. Like I say about all of them racists in Chapel, Nebraska, if we can get some black folk there, get some buses, get some black folks, get some barbecues going, and teach them fucking ignorant folks that you're human too. You're people too. You're not all gangsta paradise. You guys aren't all fucking boys in the hood. You guys are human beings, same as me.
Thing is the only news they ever hear about black people is gang member shit, and if everyone told me, all these white people are gonna kill people, I'd be afraid of white people too. You know what I mean?
Right?
Like,
see, is this not common sense? But it's common sense out of a homeless man, so he must be crazy. He must be mentally ill.
But we have to actually start the conversation also where the black people are glorifying, their stars are glorifying the murder and the gang and life too. They need to stop that.
Right.
If they really want people to take them seriously.
And you notice how he didn't blame that on black people. He blamed it on people of the upper echelon. Many of the people that we are idolizing from the black community are pushing this real heavy. Now, of course, we went from Ice Cube with his whole fuck the police thing to him playing a a special investigator of sex crimes who is himself a police officer. And of course, you know, looking at Ice Cube, or no, not Ice Cube,
Ice T. It was
Ice-T.
Ice T. Yeah, and he had Cop Killer, I think, was his song. Fuck the Police was Ice Cube. You were right on that. It was not. It was NWA. Niggas
See?
with attitude. Or you might have to cut that out because I'm a white guy and said the N word. But
well, I can't, and I don't like that word, but
well, the thing is that's the name of the group. It's not like I'm, you know, I was. That's the other thing is, I'm not if I'm not saying the N word as yelling at someone, you know, some black person and calling them the N word.
like, wouldn't that be tough if a lot of the people that you're marketed to are white kids and they can't even say the name of the band that you're in because they'll get beat up for using the N word?
Well, they just that's why everyone called it NWA instead of what it was, which was it's good for the acronym.
I don't like that word. But you're not calling me that word like that other
I'm not calling
dude.
a black person that word or you that word. I'm literally stating the name of the rap group that Ice-T was in. Or Ice Cube was in. Ice-T did Body Count was his band, and they did a song called Cop Killer.
Yep.
And
And see,
he got a lot of hate for that too.
well, we've got a lot of the people that we have that are our idols, even my own idols, as far as the black community goes. I mean, I love Will Smith, but you don't go doing that shit. No, fucking, that ain't called for, and he should have been arrested on the spot.
Well, Will Smith's problem.
I gotta go get a drink. We can continue this in a little
Will
bit.
Smith's problem was the fact that his wife needed to bring him down so she could get more of the star, and that. Will Smith was the pinnacle of their relationship. He's the one that brings the money in. He's the one that's a star. No one really gives a fuck about his wife, and she needed to bring that star down so she could shine a little brighter. That's all that was.
Well, that could be it on some level, especially when it comes to challenging a man's manhood. And that's the thing about Will Smith. He felt his manhood was challenged.
Well, he still loves his wife, and she fucked another child. She fucked her son's friend behind Will's back. And so now Will feels so he doesn't get cheated on again, he has to stand up and do stuff for his wife.
Now, between talking about Will Smith and that bullshit and doing something about pedophiles, which would you rather be doing?
Pedophiles, I'd rather the rich pedophiles taken out of power that are destroying our country.
Do you want to take out just the rich pedophiles, or you want to take all of them?
Personally, I want to get started with the rich ones. You know, I
Start at the top.
Yeah.
Cut the head off the snake. All right.
Poor motherfucking pedophile gets caught, he's going to jail. Maybe not for a long time, but he's going to jail.
Well, most of the
pedophile gets caught and they let him walk free.
Well, we were talking about families helping the family pedophile walk free. So just because it's a poor person doesn't mean the family ain't gonna lie.
Oh, when it's a poor person though, they make sure that they go to jail. That's my point. They make sure that it's not like when the rich families can pay off the judges, cops, and lawyers. They do jail time.
Well, see, that's the thing, is that I can prove they don't. On the poor level, yes, these people do not get locked up. They don't. Ted Bollinger raped the shit out of his daughters. He should have served at least 20 to 30 years for what he did.
Yeah.
He didn't, though. He's also not rich. I mean, he owned a business in Boulder. It was handed to him. It was a barber shop.
Well, that's...
But the thing is, I know a lot of poor people in Chapel, Nebraska. A lot of the girls that I went to school with told me they lost their virginity. That guy probably needs something for his erectile dysfunction.
What did he do?
That thing was loud.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Well, anyway, I'll be back.
All right, yeah.
See, everybody's got different ideas about how we should go about this. But the thing is, we haven't gotten to the part where we're actually working together and going about something. Somebody needs to grab themselves by the fucking bootstraps and say, all right, I'm going to fucking be the leader of this shit. I will fucking take the bullets. I will take the fucking hell that there is going to be. Obviously, with me, I don't have the public image for that to work. You know who could have? Natalie Bollinger. You know who could now? Alicia Bollinger. Alicia could change so much about this world just by opening her damn mouth. Wouldn't it be nice if she'd actually do that? What happened to them is wrong, and what happened to me is wrong. But it should have been dealt with on a professional level when we all went to the professionals. Those professionals should have done their jobs instead of fucking up and having to destroy evidence afterwards. And sure, there's people out here who are nuttier than squirrel turds, like that old racist there with the dog and the camper. It's called a dolphin. It's not a dolphin. It doesn't look like a dolphin. It's just an RV. But you know, that guy, he says a lot of crazy shit, a lot of stories that are outlandish and off the wall. But when it comes to the services here, he knew what to do, where to go. He had the information. Dean had some pretty useful information too. I mean, he may seem crazy all the rest of the time with the stuff with Center for Living he was crack on about.